This is Hannah Williams from Salary Transparent Street. We're in Atlanta, Georgia. Let's go ask some people what they do and how much they make.
I am a cloud engineer.
I am a cloud engineer.
How much do you make doing what you do?
120K.
120K a year.
How many years of experience do you have total versus industry?
I've got 7.
I started in 2017, so I'm approaching 6 years.
How did you get into it? Like, what helped you?
Necessity. I did it when I was in college and it just kind of evolved and here I am.
Yeah, learning more about it from him showed me that I was capable of doing it and it would be less stressful than what I was doing.
Any advice you would have for others interested in this?
Go for it. I work from home.
How did you get remote work? Was it like included? Was it difficult?
It started with COVID. They just said keep going.
Yeah, it also morphed for me, so I'm working from home as well. And the pandemic helped with that, so people can see with cloud engineering, it's not necessary to come into the office.
I work with my temple, helping out kids and teachers.
How much do you make?
$8 an hour.
How old are you?
14. I walk dogs sometimes, and I'll also help my neighbors with things that they need to do.
How much do you make, like weekly basis?
I think maybe $10 a week.
I babysit. I get $15 an hour usually.
She's killing it. Do you guys feel like you're too young to be working? Are you excited about work?
I'm excited about work. I don't feel I'm too young. I work it through my schedule so I can balance doing track, school, and hanging out with my friends. I like keeping myself busy. I just like it. I think it's going to help me in the future.
More money.
More money. I love it. Do you guys know what your parents do and how much they make?
My mom helps people write college essays and pick which college they want to go to.
Do you know how much she makes doing that?
I do not know how much she makes, but she works student by student, which is really cool.
Our mom's a comedian.
And our dad's a lawyer.
Do you know how much they make? A comedian. That's so fun.
We don't really know.
Mom, they said you are a comedian.
Yes, I do stand-up.
Amazing stand-up. How has that been working for you?
Sometimes you get paid $10 and a slice of pizza. Also, I do comedy for private events, and I'm Jewish, so I'll do comedy for fundraisers and stuff.
How do you like what you do?
I mean, I do it because I love it. I wasn't always a stand-up comedian. I used to work at a very long time ago, Cartoon Network and for Adult Swim. I left right after they were born. And I consulted for a while, and I've made everything from $85 an hour as a consultant to $10 for performing for 20 minutes.
What was the best job out of all those?
I have to say, I really enjoy performing. I love being on stage. Stage is my comfort zone.
So you're happy where you are?
You know, I feel like every year I'm like, what are my goals?
Yeah.
And I often compare myself to other comedians and what they're doing. And I'm also a mom. I've got 3 kids. Yeah. So some days comedy wins, most of the time family does.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to take me longer to get to where I want to go because I definitely don't get out as much as some other comedians who they're performing. So I run my own shows also to kind of balance that out. And I do a podcast. I create my own content just to have that creative outlet. So I feel like the people who are successful are the people who take control for what they do, right? So if you're waiting for someone to give you that job, whether it's in the creative industry or whatever industry, I don't like depending on other people to make things happen. So I try and just do it myself.
I'm an athletic trainer and events coordinator.
How much do you make?
Roughly about $130,000 a year.
How long have you been doing it?
I've been doing event management for about 9.5 years, and I've been an athletic trainer for about 4 years.
When did athletic training come around?
I worked in healthcare prior to becoming an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship is the way to go. I saw my first salary within half a year becoming an entrepreneur, but it's just doing the work and doing the research. You know, the money is out there. You just got to get out there and find it because money is out here.
I manage a pop-up market and I also sell vintage online.
How much do you make?
Through the employer, I'd say I make $1,200 a month. Through myself, also $1,200 a month.
Yeah.
Just a start out business, so not too much.
How long have you been doing it?
I've been selling vintage for 2 years now.
Do you like what you do?
Oh, I love it.
How'd you get involved in your small business?
My Nana is a style icon. She truly inspired me, and then ever since I was little, I've always thrifted, even though my family didn't. So just from my Nana's inspiration and also just thrifting secondhand and trying to save the environment, it just got me into vintage clothing.
What's the name of your small business?
My business is Shake Vintage Boutique.
I'm a pharmacist.
What about you?
A pharmacist as well.
How much do you make?
About 100K, 110 a year, probably in that area.
Same amount, yes.
How long have you been doing it?
Under 2 years, a year and a half, probably.
I just graduated in May, so a couple months, yeah. Thank you.
We're from Texas, so
Do you recommend it?
probably not right now because it's so oversaturated right now.
Saturated,
Yeah, there's a lot of people going into the field. Even when we were starting, we were one of the last year, you better get in while you can. But I mean, I guess with how the pandemic has changed things, there will always be a job at the end of the day. If you don't mind working retail pharmacy, I know they're always going to be hiring and things of that sort. sorts.
We're actually in different fields of pharmacy. So he's hospital and I'm more retail.
I hear hospital is better than retail, is what I've been hearing.
A little bit,
Workflow wise, they'll get paid more because they're usually by themselves as retail pharmacists.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
So it just depends, I guess, place to place, really.
Legal assistant. I work for a commercial real estate company.
How long have you been doing it?
About 2 years.
How'd you get into it?
Just actually through Indeed. Oh, just applying, yeah.
They're sponsoring us. How was your experience using Indeed?
It's been great, actually. I really recommend it.
Do you like what you do?
Yeah.
Do you have any advice for others who might be interested?
Just stay consistent. Even when the work can seem overwhelming, just push through. It's worth it and it's necessary.
How much do you make?
I make $55,000 a year.
Do you feel fairly compensated?
Cost of living in Atlanta is high, and I live in this area. It's a great area, but it's a very expensive area. Gentrification is real, and prices keep rising, so I think pay should keep rising, but that doesn't seem to be happening.
I'm a consultant. A consultant accelerates projects and get things done.
Do you like what you do?
I love what I do.
How long have you been doing it?
11 years.
How'd you get into it?
I just fell into it, honestly. I heard good things about it and just applied and got it.
What's your educational background?
I have an undergrad in economics and I also have an MBA.
How much do you make?
It ranges anywhere between $200,000 to $400,000.
Why does it range?
It's based on performance and utilization, so if you have a good year, your bonus can be almost twice your salary. It can get pretty gnarly sometimes, but overall it's been great.
Gnarly as in, what are the pros and cons?
Long hours, tough clients, and very short deadlines. Those are the cons. And the pros are working with smart people, learning new skills, and just doing something impactful. The advice for people who want to get into consulting and want to grow is I recommend definitely learning a lot and don't be afraid to jump ship because that's how you get more money. That's how you elevate yourself. Don't be afraid to jump.
I'm a stock plans representative.
How much do you make?
I think my salary is about $60,000.
Do you feel well paid for what you do?
The stress level and the kind of customers we have, I feel like we can get paid more, but there's a lot of opportunities for overtime. So I think once you get licensed, because I work in finance, you have to get your FINRA licenses. Once you get licensed, you get, I guess, better calls because you're more experienced and you know what you're doing. But when you're not that experienced in the field, it can be stressful because it's still a learning curve and you have to learn a lot.
How long have you been doing it?
For about a year and a half.
Do you like what you do?
Let me just say I'm a creative, so I'm an artist, but I do work in corporate, so it's definitely a growth thing. So I love the fact that I'm learning something new.
What's your educational background to get into this?
Majored in marketing, so my job's actually in finance, which is a little bit different from marketing, but it's still business centered. So
any tips or advice?
Well, I had customer service experience, so I think that was like a big thing that helps in a lot of job sectors. So I guess what I did in my other job and how I managed situations, and that kind of made my now manager want to hire me.
I'm currently unemployed and staying at home with my kids, so I'm entrepreneurship or starve right now.
Did you have a job before you became a stay-at-home mom? What did you do before?
I was still a stay-at-home mom, but I was working from home as well, so I was doing double alternative lifestyle.
How much were you making?
This year I had been raised to about $54K. I was promoted to operations business manager at the beginning of 2022.
Why did you leave?
I didn't leave, I was let go. Unclear about the exact terms of why I was let go. Boo. But I just was like, I don't want to rush into another job and I don't want to rush into the next entrepreneurial thing that I want to do. And I just wanted to stay at home with my kids and catch a break for a second.
How has that been going for you?
It's been up and down. Like some days I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to make some more income. I need to get it coming in because I was actually denied unemployment. So I'm appealing that. Yeah, big stuff. But just watching your channel has just given me a lot of like inspiration. Like, okay, I should be making around this much for what I do and for the area that I live in. It forced me to go digging a little deep about stuff in my area and
I love
research.
Do you have any goals in the next 3 years that you hope to accomplish?
Yep, in the next 3 years, I want to have a multi-family unit that I purchase for passive income. Yeah, my goal is passive income.
For sure. We don't want to worry about that paycheck.
No, I'm done paycheck to paycheck living.
Yeah. What do you do?
Software developer.
How long have you been doing it?
Software development, I'm probably in the field about 10 years now.
Do you like what you do?
Yeah, it's actually really fun. I also teach as well, and so it's a big old thing. Actually starting a tech company pretty soon, actually.
How much do you make with your full-time job?
Just a little bit over 6 figures, a little bit over 100K.
Do you have any advice for others who are interested in this?
Yeah, so if you currently do not have a degree, probably just get any degree and then certs. So if your degree is not in IT, the certification will help break that barrier for you. you. And then other things, build up your portfolio. Take on projects, do whatever you can to try to build that up and show people. And once they see that you can actually do the work, they'll hire you.
I work for the Toll Road Authority in Houston, Texas.
I'm an attorney for Child Protective Services for the state of Texas.
I'm a legal secretary for the Division of Child Support Services.
How much do you make?
I make $37 a year.
I make roughly about $55,000 a year.
I make about $30K a year.
Do you feel fairly compensated for what you do, your years of experience, and where you live?
No, but I don't think that's largely my boss's fault as much as it is a problem with housing.
I actually do, but I do think that, in general, working for the government has a tight budget, which is probably why he's limited with his pay raises. But yeah, I feel fairly compensated for my position.
I currently feel pretty solid, but that's because I'm new at the job. So
yeah.
As far as experience goes, definitely.
How many years of experience do you have?
7.
I've worked for the state of Texas for 7 years, but I've been working as an attorney for 1 year.
I've been working currently just for the last 3 months.
Do you have any advice for others who might be interested in what you do, how to get into it, anything that could be successful for them?
Apply. It's really all it takes.
I think that Child Protective Services is actually a really good job. If you're passionate about helping people, then I would say definitely apply.
Yeah.
And they will train you.
I would say the same as far as the Division of Child Support Services. Yeah. There's a lot of really great culture, and honestly, I would recommend. I got mine through an agency.
Okay.
I started working through an agency, and then I managed to ingratiate myself to the higher-ups, and they told me first when they had a new position open up.
I'm a software developer.
How long have you been doing it?
About 8 years.
What's your educational background? What'd you study?
I finished high school and that's it.
How'd you get into it?
I was working at a call center and then I learned to program a little bit and then transitioned laterally into a more analyst-y position, and then I got into coding a lot more and eventually worked my way up until I was engineering at bigger companies and stuff.
Do you think anything worked to help you be successful? Any certifications you recommend?
I have no certs and I've worked at really, prestigious companies, so I don't think it's that important. If you're self-taught, I think the only criteria for success is having an obsession about programming. You have to enjoy the problem-solving aspect of it. Otherwise, you are going to need degrees and credentials and stuff unless you really stand out.
How much do you make?
Right now, around $250, $240.
Awesome. Is that total compensation? Do you have package?
It's $200 base, and then I got a $15K signing bonus. And then I have a side business. Right now it makes $30, $40K a year. It's an e-commerce business. I sell gift cards and video games on marketplaces.
Anything that you want to share with anyone else maybe who might be having trouble figuring out what to do or how to get into a career?
For software developers, the advice I could give is there's so many business domains, video games, scientific programming. There's just so many different directions you can go in it.
Yeah.
Find the business domain that resonates with you closest. And then you're going to really enjoy the problem space a lot more and make yourself stand out.
Yeah.
So find out whatever that is and hone in on it.
I am a freelance photographer. It's personified perfections photography.
How much do you make?
Honestly, it varies from month to month. So 1 month I might make no money, and then another month I might make $1,000.
How long have you been doing it?
I've been doing it since 2015.
Do you like what you do?
I love what I do. It's so much better than an office job in my opinion.
Did you have an office job before?
Yes, I did. Not a big fan.
Why'd you quit? Just didn't like it?
More or less, I just don't like how people treat me in the office. If you're going to be asking me to do this, that, and the third, 1, be organized, 2, don't be rude, and 3, just kind of have some respect for your employees.
How did you get into it? How'd you get involved in photography?
So I've been doing photography for a while, but I think at middle school, one of my friends got a camera, and I was like, oh, let me come over there with you. So I started doing it then, and then I've just loved it ever since. I stopped for a little minute, but when the pandemic came back, I just kind of was like, my camera's got a little dust on it, yeah. So I picked it back up. I think I have everything to photograph. 1 might be people, and 2, just specifically more weddings. It's just so beautiful seeing 2 people in love.
I cry.
I cry every single time.
How's your business going? How's it being freelance?
At the end of the day, I'm about being creative. So I'd say 10 out of 10 because also I said this is the year that I'm going to do what I want to do with my business. So it's only up from here.
I do a lot of things. I'm an artist, producer, songwriter, real estate agent.
How much do you make?
I guess it just kind of depends on what I'm doing. So real estate, I think I sold $3.1 million worth of real estate sales. Artist-wise, I make anywhere between, I say about $40,000 with my artistry.
Do you feel fairly compensated?
No, I want to increase like my brand. I'm trying to increase my clientele, the amount of money that I'm making. So it's always room for growth there.
Do you like what you do overall?
I love what I do.
How'd you get into it?
Banging on tables at the lunchroom in high school, and then real estate after moving down here, not making what I wanted to make for my music. I had to make a change that pushed me into doing more real estate transactions and getting my license that way.
What's next for you?
I started flight attending just to kind of fill the gaps because the market is kind of turned upside down since COVID a little bit. So I started for my training tomorrow.
Do you know how much you'll make doing that?
Starting out with Delta, you make about $32 an hour.
Excited about it?
I am excited. I kind of feel like putting my creativity like over here in this little pocket to come back to. But and moving into more corporate things, nothing wrong with a 9-to-5 while you're an entrepreneur.
I'm a financial analyst.
How long have you been doing it?
A year and a half.
How much do you make?
About 80K.
Do you feel fairly compensated with your educational background, where you live, all of that?
Yeah.
How'd you get into it? Like, any words of advice? What worked for you?
I feel like interpersonal skills, definitely a big part of it. A love of the industry and just, being good around people.
What's a piece of financial advice that you think more people should know about that they don't?
Max out your employee benefits. I think that's very underappreciated, and just, people don't take advantage of what's being given to them.
Would you rather have better benefits or more money?
If the benefits are good, I would do the benefits.
Right.
But there is no substitute for good compensation.
What's a good benefit according to you?
Dog care.
So I'm a canvasser, we work for a nonprofit. It's quick and easy. As long as you can talk to people and you're like really open, that's all that matters.
How much do you make?
I make $20 an hour.
Nice.
And then after that, depending on how good you are, you can move up in life. It's like really quick.
Do you feel fairly compensated for what you do?
Honestly, I do. Just talking to people and helping them out, just understanding what we do and have like the help. It's really easy, honestly. So like if me talking to you, it's really easy,
Right?
But yeah, we're fighting for a cause that really matters. And then if you can do that and convince people, you're good.
What are the pros and cons of what you do?
Well, we do have a lot of people who yell at us sometimes, which is awful. But the really cool thing is, like, people who don't know, you actually like see like how they feel and actually make them feel comfortable and make them feel important, like they're actually helping.
Yeah.
Every time they donate with us, we're like, hey, you're a superhero after this. Like, when you get home, you feel that tingling sensation because your power is activating.
Any piece of advice that you have for anyone who might be interested in what you do, or something you've learned that you'd like to share?
Honestly, I feel like with any job, even with this job, just be yourself. Like, I'm a dork, I'm goofy, you know what I'm saying, as you see. But yeah, just be yourself and move on with life, It's so much easier.
I coach track and field at University.
How much do you make doing that?
I make $37,000 a year.
Do you feel fairly compensated with your background, years of experience where you live?
I feel moderately compensated. I get a lot of time off in the summer, which is very beneficial to my lifestyle. So knowing that, I feel like it's understandable. I'd love to make a little bit more money, though.
Definitely. Those are good benefits. Do you have any cons about the job that you would like to share?
I love my job. I love working at the collegiate level with student athletes. It's a sport that I love. It takes up a lot of time, a lot of long weekends from January through the end of May. Every weekend I'm at a track meet. But it's worth it because it's a sport that I love.
Did you do track and field before?
I did. I competed in high school as well as in college, and pivotal part of my experience.
What did you do when you went to college? Is that what you studied? Like, how'd you get into it?
I studied sports management at the advice of a coach that I met along the way. And I had very influential coaches in high school as well as in college that kind of helped guide me towards coaching as I grew up.
I'm a consultant.
Can you describe what you do in one sentence?
I do specifically M&A consulting. I actually just started a week ago. Yeah, new job, but basically I'll be helping clients throughout their M&A, like integrations, pre-merger, stuff like that.
How long total years of experience do you have?
About 4.5.
And how much do you make?
$120.
Do you feel fairly compensated?
I do, yeah.
I'm a server.
I'm also a server.
How did you get into your job?
When I was 16, and then just kept going.
So how many total years of experience?
Like 6.
5. I started when I was 15.
Do you like what you do?
Sometimes. The best part is, like, sometimes you make connections, especially where I'm from, and it's like a small town.
Cool.
And the worst part's Karen's.
What about you?
Depends on the week. Depends on the day. Usually, like, on a good week, probably like 12, 13, 100, 17. Bad weeks, probably like 800, 1,000.
What pieces of advice do you have for anyone else who might be interested in what you do, or, anything you've learned in general?
If you're trying to get extra money a little bit, just for like a little side job, serving is definitely a little night shift time to do it.
Yeah.
You can make like $300-400 a night.
Regardless of the money, don't get sucked in.
I'm a hairstylist.
I'm also a hairstylist.
How is the work like for you? Rate it 1 out of 10.
I'd say like an 8. I mean, I only work 3 days a week, and I just get to enjoy and hang out with people all day.
I would say also an 8. Love what I do, love getting to hang out with people. I also only work 3 days a week, so it's a pretty nice schedule.
How'd you get this job? Like, what got you into it?
It was kind of an accident, but I was 18, and I just kind of fell into it, not really knowing that I would love it, and then I loved it, got lucky.
I actually was in nursing school first, dropped out because I hated it, and
Good
went
for
to
you.
hair school. And yeah, it's been really great ever since.
Big question. How much do you make?
$160,000.
About 130,000.
Wow. What kind of words of advice or anything that has helped you be successful for other people who might be interested in this?
I would say it would just be like learning how to value yourself and your work, and knowing when to overextend yourself and knowing when not to, and just getting involved in as many creative projects as you can.
About the same, just like really taking care of yourself is number one. Self-care is a major thing with our line of work. It's very hard, it's very strenuous on your body. So just taking care of yourself, also just getting as much education as you can, and yeah, working with as many mentors as you can as well.